Tonight, President Biden builds his administration.
I think we want the highest level of integrity in positions of government.
In any event, we need a Secretary of State. This is the person for the job.
The latest as the Senate moves ahead with key members of the cabinet. Plus,
I think by the time we're in the summer, we're actually going to have a situation where we're going to have more doses than we know what to do with them.
The growing optimism over getting Americans vaccinated against COVID-19. And a look at China's persecution of Uyghur Muslims and why the State Department is designating it a genocide. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
Capitol Hill giving the green light to a few key members of the Biden administration. Welcome to Faith Nation and good evening. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Browder. 1 week into the new administration, 4 members of President Biden's cabinet are now confirmed.
The Senate could take action on others by the end of the week. CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson brings us more in tonight's top story.
With Senate Democrats now in the majority, they hope to quickly confirm the rest of President Biden's cabinet picks, while juggling other top priorities.
The Senate will deal with 3 things simultaneously. Nominations, we're working to confirm more nominees this week, a fair impeachment trial, and delivering emergency COVID relief.
In place thus far, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
It's a new day for America. It's a new day for the world.
The Senate will soon vote on Biden's pick to lead Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Even a few Republicans with reservations about Mayorkas want a swift confirmation.
I do think we need someone in place. We've got the massive cybersecurity attack that we aren't talking about much because it seems like everything else has become more important. But that probably is the most significant national security threat we've had in this country in years.
If confirmed, Mayorkas would become the first Hispanic and first immigrant to head the department.
Born in Cuba with his family, came here as a refugee, fleeing the Castro administration. He's a man of integrity, a man of principle, with an incomparable work ethic.
Also making history, Biden's choice to lead the Interior Department, Congresswoman Deb Haaland, who would be the first Native American cabinet secretary, and transportation nominee Pete Buttigieg, who would be the first openly LGBTQ+ person to serve in a cabinet-level position. As a candidate, President Biden pledged to make his administration and cabinet look like America, and if the rest of his nominees are confirmed, he will have the most diverse cabinet in U.S. history. Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
All right, Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson. Thanks, Abby. Tony Perkins is the president of the Family Research Council. He joins us now for more. Tony, we repeatedly see and hear messages of unity coming from the President Biden. Difficult in today's climate. In what ways or areas do you see unity achievable if the Biden administration reached out to you and said, we want to work on this together?
Well, I agree that it is an important message. In fact, yesterday, I agree with something that the president said. He said, unity and healing must begin with understanding and not lies. And, you know, I agree with him in that statement, but he did that as he was abolishing the 1776 Commission. Look, I think, first off, if they truly want unity in this country, which we desperately need, then they have to stop being the party that is silencing the opposition. They have to stop being the party that denies science and is forcing transgenderism on our children in elementary schools and on our nation's military. We've got to start with facts and truth. And the truth is, they don't want a truly diverse cabinet that would include all of America, maybe half of the Democratic Party, but certainly not conservatives, evangelicals, those that believe in traditional values. The message is they're not welcome in this administration.
Tony, President Biden, he's going very hard on these executive orders. What ones stand out to you the most so far?
Well, it's quite interesting how the media has a double standard, present company excluded. When you look back 4 years ago, Donald Trump had not even done a quarter of the executive orders that we're already seeing from Joe Biden. In fact, it appears Joe Biden is already will soon surpass the same mark that Donald Trump did in 100 days, in his first 100 days. And the media was decrying Donald Trump as a tyrant, ruling by executive order when he actually had both houses of Congress under Republican control. Joe Biden has both houses under Democratic control, but yet he is using the executive pen in a way that no previous president has done. So first off, I think what he's doing in our public schools, transgenderism, pushing this radical agenda that Americans have rejected. Look what he's done to the military. Donald Trump, based upon facts, a study by General Mattis that showed that this was harmful to our nation's national security. He undid that with a pen yesterday. I mean, it's not only that, but look how he's attacked jobs with canceling the Keystone Pipeline. It took 4 years to get us to a point of being energy independent, which is a national security issue, all that undone by Joe Biden with a pen.
Tony, many of these orders center on issues considered central to the church, like refugees and racial justice. Do you see much room for support from the evangelical world here?
Look, I do think that there has to be a way forward on the immigration issue, but it's been something that's been wrestled with for 20 years. I've been at this post nearly 20 years. We've come close a couple of times, and I think it has to be a balanced approach. I do not see what Joe Biden is pursuing as a balanced approach. I think you cannot take 11 million people who are here illegally and award them with citizenship. And I think stopping the border wall, the security that Americans want is the wrong approach to dealing with the issue. There is a way forward, but Joe Biden is not pursuing that way.
Tony, you touched on it. The president's new executive order on gender identity says kids in public schools should be able to enter whatever bathroom or locker room they choose based on their gender identity. And that boys who identify as girls should be able to participate in girls' sports. What does this mean, Tony, for school districts that disagree?
Well, Jenna, there's not going to be much room for disagreement under this administration. I think part of the show of force here in our nation's capital right now with the military, given the fact that, Portland and cities like that continue to smolder, and they're still having rioting there, but you don't see the National Guard moving in on those cities. Look, this is a show of force. This is about showing who's in control and that dissent is punished. But here's what has to happen, Jenna. I think that Christians in America number one, need to be praying. And we need to pray for Joe Biden. I've been praying for him, praying that he would make the right decisions that will be beneficial to all America. But I also pray that confusion would descend upon those who deny truth. And so far, we're seeing a lot of that in this administration. Look, Jesus himself in Matthew chapter 19, verse 4 says, "Have you not read from the beginning that God created them male and female?" Look, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, the Word of God is quite clear on the issue of human sexuality. I know there's some abnormalities, but those are rare, few and far between. We're talking about policy. We're creating policy here that is going to confuse our children and lead them down a destructive path. It's wrong. It must be resisted.
All right, Tony Perkins with the Family Research Council. We are out of time. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, John.
Well, a new domestic terrorism warning tonight from the Department of Homeland Security, all stemming back to the 2020 presidential election and the deadly Capitol Hill riot 3 weeks ago today. For more on that, let's turn to CBN national security correspondent Eric Phillips. Eric, what are we talking here? Is there a specific threat that's been cited?
Well, the Department of Homeland Security said there is not a specific credible threat that's out there. But the reason why they put out this threat bulletin today is because of the pervasive threat that's there. In other words, they've identified that extremists that object to, quote, the presidential transition, who hold anti-government views or are motivated by other false narratives, present a present danger in our society right now. It's a heightened level, and DHS wants the average citizen now to know that that threat level is there. Now, interestingly, the threat level itself, the official threat level, has not been increased, but this is a bulletin basically saying, hey, guys, the threat is there. Be vigilant. Be sure that you're being watchful. If you see something, say something. If you see someone who's acting in a way that might be strange or present some sort of threat, please make sure the authorities know. But it all goes back to January 6th and that siege at the U.S. Capitol that now has emboldened some people to feel like they can move forward with perhaps other actions. Right now, the government and authorities are tracking online communication and tracking other plans that bad actors might have in the future. But again, at this point, it's more or less a tap on the shoulder to the American people saying to be careful, be watchful, and be vigilant.
And it's not often we get these kind of alerts, Eric.
Well, not very often. I mean, the last time we had a threat bulletin from DHS was last year, right around this time. And, you know, what's interesting about it is the last time we had a threat bulletin, it was because of a terrorist threat coming from Iran. Now here we are a year later with this threat bulletin based on a terroristic threat or possible terroristic threat coming from right here within our U.S. borders. And that really speaks volumes as to where we are.
CBN's Eric Phillips. Thank you so much, Eric.
You're welcome.
Well, President Biden's COVID response team held its first news briefing today. It comes on the heels of a new push to get hundreds of millions more vaccine doses out by the end of summer.
I think it's important to clarify the difference between 300 million or 600 million vaccines being produced and the process of getting that across the country to providers and pharmacies and community clinics and into people's arms. There are many more challenges. So what we've talked about yesterday, what the president announced, was a first step, namely to make sure we have enough production. Making sure that 300 million people get vaccinated have a lot of other elements.
As of now, the CDC reports 44 million doses of the vaccine have been distributed across the country. More than 23 million have been injected. The White House says it'll acquire an additional 100 million doses of the vaccine from both Pfizer and Moderna. President Biden has made it his goal to have 100 million shots given in his first 100 days in office.
The future of the Republican Party and how President Trump could play a big role after this.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Welcome back. Many Republicans are trying to figure out what the future of the party looks like now that President Trump is no longer in office. According to a new poll, though, a growing number of the GOP want the former president to play a big part of that future. According to the Morning Consult survey, 50% of Republicans say Mr. Trump should play a, quote, major role in the party. That's up 9 percentage points compared to just after the deadly January 6th assault at the U.S. Capitol. Overall, the survey found 81% of Republicans still view Trump positively.
And with that, we want to bring in CBN's chief political analyst, David Brody. David, good evening to you. What do you think about this latest polling? Trump still hugely popular with Republicans.
Yeah. Right, Jenna, John, it doesn't surprise me at all. As a matter of fact, what I thought was interesting when John was reading that story, it's up 9%, he said, since January 6th, which makes sense. In other words, as time goes by, Donald Trump is going to get stronger and stronger. And just think, I mean, we've only had a few weeks go by and he's up 9%. Imagine what that could be potentially in a year, 2 years. And by the way, I know there's a lot of talk about Donald Trump not being on Twitter, and that might be a problem for the president in terms of, amplifying his message. In a way, counterintuitively, that actually might be good for this president. The less of Trump means you might want to hear a little bit more of him rather than always having to hear him nonstop 24/7. I think less of Trump could be actually good and more for Trump later down the road.
A lot of reverse psychology you're saying there, David. So, Trump mentioned a lot about potentially running again in 2024. His base is no doubt with him, as we've seen in that survey. But what about more of those moderate voters and reports of Republicans switching their party affiliations after the Capitol assault? Would he need to win them back in order to mount a successful election bid?
Well, he would definitely need to do better in the suburbs. I don't think there's any question about that. And that's the big question. I mean, let's just get this on the table right now. This idea that the traditionalist Republican strain of Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski, that is not the way forward for the Republican Party. If anybody thinks it is, they're wrong. That might satisfy suburban moms somewhere across the country, the people that are not too fond of Trump, but that's not going to get you to beat the Democrats. I mean, there's this wide swath of Americans who truly embrace what Donald Trump stood for from a macro standpoint. So I think Donald Trump, and we always talked about this, guys, but if he could tone down Twitter a little bit, if he could just be 10 to 20% less of Donald Trump. Look, 80% of Donald Trump is a lot. 100% of Donald Trump, I think, clearly showed to many viewers in the middle that it was too much. So if he can take it down 20%, I think he has a chance of getting some of those folks back. But look, good luck trying to give Donald Trump advice.
David, let's talk about President Biden real quickly and his early actions as commander-in-chief. So far, political report card, how would you grade him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, TBA, TBD, to be determined. I'll say this. I thought that, so far he seems to be governing from a center-left position as it relates to folks that he's putting in his administration and seeing a bit of more of an incremental approach. A lot of people have talked about these executive orders and how he's signing so many of them one after one. But you know what? I think it's a big non-story. Yes, so what? He's signing a lot of executive orders. I mean, Tony Perkins was on earlier, and I'm thinking to myself, well, of course he's signing a lot of executive orders because they fundamentally disagree with everything the Trump administration stood for.
All right, David, we're going to have to end it there. CBN's David Brody, thanks so much.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
Up next, growing persecution against religious minorities in China and what the U.S. is doing to fight it.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Watch On the Home Front today at 2:30.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Welcome back. Well, as we've reported here on Faith Nation, the Chinese government is terrorizing Uyghur Muslims through detainment, torture, and sterilization, not to mention, John, religious persecution.
That's right, Jenna. Surprisingly, how the United States should address the situation is something both the Biden and former Trump administrations agree on. CBN's Jennifer Wishon explains.
As one of his last acts before leaving office, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo designated China's actions against Uyghur Muslims as genocide, a designation President Biden's administration agrees with. For more on this important designation, I'm joined by Commissioner Nuri Turkel, who sits on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Commissioner, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Practically, what does this designation mean for the Chinese government and, more importantly, the Uyghurs who are being held against their will?
It was indeed a momentous day for the Uyghur people who have been subject to China's genocidal policies.
In addition to what the State Department has done, the Department of Homeland Security has also effectively banned cotton and tomato products from this region where Uyghurs are being forced into labor to produce these products. How big of a deal is that?
It is a huge deal. The United States government has been rightly and correctly focusing on Chinese economic interests, particularly in the context of supply chain and forced labor. Cotton trade is back in China. The Chinese government's economic policies, political decisions enslaving the Uyghurs effectively polluted the global economic system, tainted the consumer products being exported from China to the United States. As just reported several days ago, while we're having this conversation as extensively as the United States been announced several key decisions on this particular issue, U.S. remained to be the largest export destination for the products made in the Uyghur region. Yeah. Just last year, the export volume doubled.
The word genocide is a big word. It's a grave word, and you've talked a bit about what that means. But remind us what we know about the conditions that Uyghur Muslims are facing today.
China's government has built industrial-scale prison camps that the world has not seen since the Second World War. And also the Chinese government, by its own admission, effectively implemented birth control policies through forced sterilization, prevented Uyghur population growth in 2019 by about 25%. So, and on top of this, the Chinese government has been taking Uyghur children away from their parents. There are believed to be 500,000 Uyghur children have been taken into the state-run orphanages, which is much like a children's concentration camps. And also the Chinese government has built an expensive, pervasive surveillance system to monitor every aspect of the Uyghur people's lives. Because of the international community's failure to act, as the United States government has done, never again ring shallow.
As a member of the commission, you, of course, advocate for religious freedom of all faiths across the globe. But you have personally been working on this issue for quite some time, and it's personal to you.
I never thought in my life that I would be even mentioning the way that I was brought to this world. My mother, young mother, was taken to the re-education camp, and my father was sent to the labor camp when she was pregnant with me. I was born in Chinese detention, and I spent first several months of my life in the Chinese re-education camp. And also leaving that country and reestablishing life in the United States through education, professional life, and healthy family life I thought that I was over with the communist Chinese repression, but it is still with me. It's just heartbreaking to hear and listen to our fellow Americans looking for their family members. So the genocide determination is a comfort to me and many other fellow American Uyghurs.
Well, our prayers are certainly with the Uyghur people. Thank you for the work you're doing, and we will continue to follow this very important story. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're gonna bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls, man.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Well, finally tonight, while they may not be the most comfortable, at this point in the pandemic, Jenna, we're all used to wearing masks when we leave home.
Yeah, now, though, some high school students in Arkansas are turning to technology to help make them a little more pleasant to wear. They're calling it Ear Saver. Using a 3D printer, the students created the device to help masks sit more comfortably on the back of your ears. The goal initially was to help prevent mask-related pain for frontline workers.
I've just gotten so many opportunities here and so many just cool things I've gotten to do, and so I wanted to create those same opportunities for other people. I want other students to also get to hear about 3D printing, get to see how cool it is, and so the students have been working hard here in Mr. Ward on printing these ear savers.
And the 3D printed design created by the students has even been recognized by the National Institute of Health. Good
Jenna,
on them. That's great to see.
Pretty ingenious and nice to cover some of my old reporting stomping grounds.
Definitely.
Have a great night.